Okay. There we go. Yeah, hello and welcome to Wednesday's stream with we're going on to Star Wars Squadrons this week as we have some couple of new ships. Though one is much more important than the other. So let's sorry, my wheelchair was a little bit awkward there. Okay, so just load this up. For the Empire, we get the TIE Defender. Okay, but yeah, I'm not gonna necessarily
I'll help you out.
hold that on it. Minus 70% on the health. Wow.
Excellent choice.
But then, more importantly, played a little bit earlier, not in game, but just getting its loadout. Oh, it didn't stay here. The B-Wing. So, yeah. Oh. Me. 400. Sacrifices ion. Oh man, I am.
You know how to pick them.
Select a whole. Shields. Okay. But yeah, like, so we have B-Wings.
You got it.
Yes. I do want to get some color actually. Loads. Give the new thing a try. I really don't know if that the laser. Homing. I need more
You're gonna
iron
like
though. I really don't know. That's the thing. But that means I'm lower on health, but shields regenerate much quicker.
I'll get it ready. If you need it, I got it.
Okay, no time to customize the engine. I can't wait to do this. That's the thing. Try that. Well, this is going to be interesting going out in this thing. Yeah. Obviously, hope everyone else is having a good day. I really need to stop. I need to focus on what I completely lost what I was going to say. Boy.
This is Vanguard 5 standing by.
Vanguard 4 checking in. We're gonna start destroyer all the way out here.
Oh, look at this cockpit.
Eliminate all Imperial ships.
Assess, align, determine attack.
That's the vintage combat loot.
Ah.
Enemy on my tail! Taking fire!
We're taking out a lot of Titan squadron ships. Don't stop now.
Eh.
Took down a raider. Good news. We've reached their cruisers. Deploy
I've forgotten controls. Made the B-wing less maneuverable than it should have been.
Don't tell Titan Squadron I'm coming.
Oh.
Have a look.
I lost the Corvette.
Enemy on your tail.
Ugh. Get used to it.
We're losing too much. Hold them off, Vanguard.
Oh, okay. Thing.
Vanguard, I'm inbound.
Defensive positions, Vanguard. Imperial fighters are attacking our friends.
Come on.
Man. Hi, Susie. You okay?
Flying to your position. They locked onto me.
I mean... Oh, excuse me.
We've got a raider.
This thing, anything we need ability upgrade.
That's what I'm here for.
The fact that this thing can ion and do normal damage. So cool.
They're tailing you, Vanguard 5.
Just slow. B-wings are not meant to be this slow.
Time to go on the offensive.
Where are you?
Excellent work. Take down the cruisers and we can advance on the Star Destroyer.
ways up and down right now. Hey, Savar. Yeah, we got B-Wings and TIE Defenders now. Go! B-Wing just doesn't feel as tanky as it should be, though.
Let's get some fire on that.
That's probably Alex.
Incoming missile.
How's that tail? Almost taking out that cruiser.
Hello?
Surprise.
Oh, Susie.
Oh, copy.
Susie okay? Susie?
Disco's being a pet.
Well, is that any different to what it's been the last couple of weeks?
True.
So yeah, what's Susie been up to?
Attack that.
Reading and napping. The usual.
Yeah, you been up to much also, Savar?
There you go.
Aggressive formation. Attack the Star Destroyer.
Yeah, how's kitties?
I'm guessing Disco cut you off, so I'm guessing you said house kitties.
Yep.
Well, Daisy's currently going nuts on the corner of the bed, and Poppy's currently staring at
Oh. Hi.
me. Hey,
Making them both go crazy at the minute. Why are they
I
both
think
going?
they're just happy. I don't know. I'm just hoping that they're happy because, well, plans.
Hmm. So, yeah. Today, what did they do today?
Nothing much.
No playtime or anything?
On my way.
Blow that up.
No. In honesty, I kind of napped for about 90% of the day
Star Destroyer.
Hmm.
while also doing things around the house. But a load of
You
napping.
can't do both. You can't exactly do napping and everything around the house.
You can if you time it.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Shields restored.
Susie making things up again.
Enemies lost on me.
So what did you get up to today?
Not much.
Yep, I'm in trouble. We disabled their shields.
Okay, destroy this. Shield generated before dying, I'm happy with that.
Imperial ships have got zero defensive line. Stop that raider immediately.
Yeah, what was that? Didn't
Here
do.
it comes.
Salmon and gravy.
Star Destroyer shields back up line. Can't afford to lose that frigate, Vanguard Squadron.
Are they happy after having din-dins?
Yeah, I think I was pretty happy. I'm actually not quite sure. I went to do a load of things after I fed mum and dad and the cat.
I have a lock.
They destroyed a frigate.
Where is everyone? Oh jeez.
Missile inbound.
Defensive positions. Do not let the Empire destroy our MC-75.
They're using countermeasures.
Blast that target. Imperial Raider destroyed.
Um, I need to adjust the I've got equipped on this thing a bit more.
Feeling the heat, Vanguard. Nice flying. Push ahead.
Okay. So yeah, what's Susie doing right now?
Reading mostly.
Vanguard 5, you're the best.
Any plans for tomorrow?
Let's go cut you.
Any plans for tomorrow?
That was too
Do
close.
more things around the house. Play with the cat probably if I don't nap. And read. I really like reading.
Star Destroyer shields are disabled.
Enemy missile inbound.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna try and adjust the loadout again afterwards. Oh boy.
Let's do this right.
They restored their shields on the Star Destroyer. I hate it. MC-75 shields are disabled.
Okay, where are you?
Shields back online. We lost shields. The MC-75 is taking too much damage. That Raider's scrapped. Shields are restored.
Okay.
Enemy shields disabled. Attack that Star Destroyer.
Oh. Yeah, go and alter some of the gear. Trying to get the right setup I like on it.
Found one yet?
No, because you can't change the loadout in missions, so
Ah.
and that was my first time utilising it in battle, so yeah, it's just work it out, and then all of it will be good. So what book is Susie reading at the moment?
I am near the end of 1,000 Suns.
Okay. Hey Doc. Hey, how you doing there? Does less, but
You know how to pick 'em.
also aim it for me. Probably an Alex.
Hey, Alex.
Hello.
Oh god. that's creepy.
No, no, that's it. Corner, corner.
Wait. Which one of us?
Both of you.
What have I done?
Nothing.
Oops,
It's just by default, it's just, corners.
Hello.
No, definitely going for the corner there.
Oh no.
Yeah. Try that.
I just love it when the Outer Worlds just breaks,
Well, I mean, isn't...
and then you have to fix it, which it's trying to fix like 20 gigabytes worth.
Yeah.
Yee. That's yee.
Yeah, I hopped on the Outer Worlds after a while, after a long while of having not played it, because I was hoping to do like a series of it on YouTube. But obviously, that didn't really work because it kept skipping frames and a lot. So it was just like unbearable to watch. So I just gave up on that and pretty much gave up on playing it at the time because I'd restarted my personal one to try and do this new one. Thinking that I could like have multiple saves, but turns out that you can't. So I wasted one save to create a save, which I didn't want to keep because I killed everyone. So
Well,
it's like,
that's
I'm gonna
all
have
on
to-
you.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm gonna have to do all of this again. Because I did it all on a hard difficulty as well. Like, quite a hard difficulty. Not the hardest, but like the second hardest, I think. So it was really tough to do some bits as well. But the other day I was just like, screw it. I'm gonna play it, and I'm just gonna put it on the easiest setting just so I can just get through the story, because I've heard the story is great. And I just don't really want to be stressing out about dying all over, like, every single time. Like on Dark Souls, because Dark Souls you're meant to die a lot, and that's fine. But I don't want to have to do Dark Souls mechanics in a shooter.
Oh yeah, and you were going on about that shooter Dark Souls game that existed.
That's third person, to be fair.
Yeah, but you just said about Dark Souls and shooting mechanics. You never said an FPS.
Yeah, well, you know what I meant. Like, a game that's...
Has anyone actually made a Souls-like first-person game?
No.
Not that I can think of.
It's because it really doesn't work.
No.
Because really you need to be seeing everything around you, and you need to be able to dodge easily, and... I mean...
Some studio get on it, even though it would be a game I would not buy. I just want to see its existence.
I mean, the third-person one works fine, because it's third-person, you can see everything going on.
Have it as a
Also,
rail
character
shooter.
customization. What now?
Rail shooter.
I don't know what a rail shooter is.
You know, like a lot. You've never seen like the shooter games they put in arcades.
Oh, right, where they put you on sort of a path and you're just shooting.
Yeah, that's a rail. That's what's called a rail shooter. I mean, you even get like fighter games that are like that. I mean, think in Old Republic where you do the Starfighter stuff.
Yeah.
Those are rail shooters. Yeah, the actual Starfight. Yeah, the actual Starfighter side mission things, not the PvP thing. But yeah, that's all rail shooter.
It's the same thing with the Galactus live event in Fortnite that was happening with.
They can sometimes give you the ability, like if they're doing within ships, they might let you you know, move around where you are on the screen a bit. But obviously, yeah, the path is predetermined overall. So yeah, I mean, like, you could do like a Souls game like that, where you move up from place to place and you just have to hit like your defense at the right moment or shoot them in a particular spot to get them to not, you know, to cancel off an attack or something. But obviously, you get hit, you are basically, you're pretty close to done for. And then obviously you could use any, you know, your experience type thing to purchase your upgrades. Which obviously, as normal, you know, as you would in the Souls game, you lose it when you die, but kill that enemy again, you get it back.
Yeah.
Come on, game, you're being slow right now. Game. Well, there we go. Yes. There we are. Ah, right, this map.
Vanguard 2, standing by.
Well, I've customized the B-wing.
Yeah, I'll say one thing. It does not feel like what the lore says it is.
Well, I mean, there's a, you know, they had to do a lot to make, you know, its mechanics.
Yeah, but I mean, even then, like, this thing's meant to be, you know, what happens when you mix an X-wing and a Y-wing. Because it was the whole point was, you know, give an X-wing basically, you know, the Y-wing's fighting capabilities. And this thing is slower and less maneuverable than a Y-wing. So.
But to be fair, it packs more of a punch, I imagine, on capital ships.
Oh yeah, yeah. But the weird thing is, this thing isn't even as tanky as a Y-wing. In fact, it's less tanky than the X-wing.
Oh yeah.
Because like the shields are just destroyed in seconds.
Yeah, its shields are pretty horrendous actually.
Yeah, so it's just like the B-wing is not what it's meant to be.
So you're still glad they put the B-wing in the game?
I'm still happy it's here, but I'm just disappointed that they basically have screwed it up. So it just doesn't feel like a B-wing. Because, yeah, it just takes damage far too easily for what it's meant to be. And, well, they haven't
It's actually got the most... It's actually got the largest amount of max hull out of any ship.
Never feels like it to me, because as soon as my shield's gone, I just watch my health just plummet.
Because the Y-wing the Y-wing had 1,200 max hull. The X-wing had 1,200. The A-wing had 500, and the U-wing had 1,000. The B-wing has 1,600.
Like I say, it never feels like it.
It's just its shields are 400 compared to the others, which the U-wing it's 1,000. A-wing it's 500. So it's got less shields than an A-wing.
Well, A-wing always made sense because obviously it's not fitted out very much for defense. Whereas
the Y-wing had like 1,200 shield, and the X-wing had 800 shield.
yeah, I mean, like you'd think for a ship that's meant to go up against Star Destroyers head on, it would have shields that can take it.
I mean, in its description it says a blockade buster with built-in ion cannons. The B-wing needs support in dogfights.
I mean, obviously that's to stop the B-wing
Unparalleled
being self-sufficient.
But delivers unparalleled damage to enemy battleships. Yeah, it is also its maneuverability is.
Yeah, that's because they haven't really done the gyroscope.
They have.
Yes, and it doesn't really do anything other than resupplies you. Because if the B-wing operated like it should, the cockpit would stay still and the entire body maneuver around it. But, you know, it stays upright. It stays, you know, with the body below the cockpit the entire time.
Yeah.
All that ability does is it just causes the whole body to do a rotation, and that's it. It's a really weird thing.
So it's not very good then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, the big thing is the fact that it always does ion damage. Although I do recommend giving it the homing capability, the same on it. Give it the guided rotary cannon, because try hitting anyone with these laser cannons without such a feature.
Well, I guess I'll find out eventually.
So what are you saying, Susie?
Does it act like a pea shooter?
What do you mean by that?
You know, like a pea shooter.
I don't know, because I've never touched a pea shooter.
I mean, surely you've seen one
I
of
guess
them.
I'm gonna give it both of the beam cannons, I guess.
I mean, yeah, that is the cool thing it gets.
You get the ion beam, and then you get the regular beam, the physical damaging beam.
Yeah.
That looks good.
Approaching the battlefield.
Let me know when you're out of a match, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, it's technically got the same survivability as a base X-wing.
They didn't really just give. They just really didn't give it the upgrades.
But obviously the shields, you know, not having a lot of shields means that it's going to be taking a lot of damage on its hull, but that's why there's a lot of hull health.
Which never. Yeah, but for, like I said, I've never really noticed having a lot of hull health, because it just feels like it goes to pieces instantly anyway.
And the worst bit is that the components for the hull only decrease its health for not really that good upgrades, like minus 10% health for slowing hostile lock-ons,
Yeah.
minus 35% for an increase of 10% of shields, which, considering the gap, you're losing, like, what? 8, 24.
Yeah.
You're losing a lot of shields. You're losing a lot of health for not a lot of shield gain. You gain, like... Well, actually, look, I'll put it on and have a look. You lose 560 health to gain 20 shield. It's like, what is the point? It's completely useless.
Yeah, I'll probably take that off after this round.
What, did you have that equipped?
Yeah, because I wanted
well,
that a little
that's
bit of
why you-
extra shielding.
Well, that's why you've been getting completely destroyed.
Yeah, no,
Because there's
literally.
absolutely nothing. It decreases your hull integrity by 560 health for no shield gain. That's why you've been sliced up like butter.
Lock on. Lock on.
And then the other one is minus 30% health for a stealth sort of thing.
It's not bad in its own right.
Yeah, prevents enemies from targeting you at long range, but your hull integrity is low. That might be worth it, just because then it might allow you to go undetected and get close enough to the Star Destroyer. Because with the beam cannons, they have a range of 1,000, so you only need to get 500 meters closer for them to actually do something.
The only other thing is, like, if you note that all of the laser cannons that it can carry do maneuverability penalties.
Here it comes.
Yeah, but that's always been the case. But it's only as you're charging the beam up.
No, not those.
It's only as you're firing.
No. Read the B-Wing's normal lasers.
Hmm.
Read the normal lasers for the B-Wing.
Oh, actually firing its actual cannons.
Yeah.
Crikey. Yeah, see that.
Which... that doesn't really make any sense.
I mean, to be fair, the damage output that those cannons have is a lot higher than a lot of others. I mean, the heavy rotary cannon on the Y-Wing, which is the same thing.
Yeah,
is
battle's over, by the
560
way.
Okay. The same cannon on the Y-Wing does 566.7 damage per second, whilst the one on the B-Wing does 766.7 damage per second, plus 283.3 max ion damage per second. So it does about 500 damage more than the one that the Y-Wing has, and it's the exact same weapon. It's got the same name.
Yeah. You'd think they would have given it a different name as it has that extra ability on it. I was like, welcome back, Savar.
So it's basically got less maneuverability for higher damage, which makes sense because that's kind of what it was in everything else. It's like it's a slow ship, but if it gets in range, just goodbye.
Well, you say slow again. It's meant to be better than the Y-Wing. I mean, if you go back, obviously with Legends version, the B-Wing was developed because of how old the Y-Wings were. I mean, so obviously, like, that was the thing even with Legends. Y-Wings were still a Clone War era machine. It was just, and obviously with the Empire pumping out bigger and more nastier Star Destroyers, like the Super Star Destroyer, needed something completely modern to take it on.
Yeah.
So, but the problem was, couldn't retrofit the X-Wing to carry that sort of ordnance. And obviously an X-Wing was still torn apart by Star Destroyers. So Akbar co-designed the B-Wing to bring that, that's to, as it says. Say it is. Speed and maneuverability of the X-Wing with the defensive and firepower capabilities of the Y-Wing. And even if you actually pay attention in Rebels when we get the Proto B-Wing, that thing is very maneuverable. And that's because that's that whole point of the gyroscopic system around the cockpit. It is to allow that greater maneuverability that a machine built with those sort of specifications cannot do. The problem was the case was pilots, because such a system made the ship incredibly difficult to pilot. Pilots were then incredibly rare who were even capable of handling the ship, which is why it never actually replaced the Y-wing in the end. Because you could get some of your best pilots that in the rebellion, and they couldn't pilot the B-wing. I mean, I remember.
Well, maybe they tried to make sort of like one that was more flyable by just general pilots, and that's why it's less maneuverable this version.
Yeah, I mean, even just looking Return of the Jedi, that they're still doing better than much better than Y-wings and keeping up with the X-wings. So.
And this takes place after Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Anyway, doesn't it?
Although the only thing I know there is B-wings were retired from service pretty quickly. Just because, again, the pilot problems, and they were also the most expensive ship for the rebellion. Well,
why were you then complaining that it wasn't in the game? If lore-wise it made sense why it wasn't in the game.
Because it's still the best ship, and this is also, bear in mind, pre-Jakku, so don't forget that.
So you complain when it's not in the game, and now you complain that it is in the game.
Well, no, but like I say, technically, we haven't reached the time point that it will be retired. Because, like I say, Jakku hasn't happened yet, from what I'm able to, at least from what I'm understanding on the timeline here.
I feel like if they did Jakku and Mandalorian, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, like I said, at least from what I can tell, Jakku hasn't happened. Actually, no, yeah, definitely reason Jakku hasn't happened. Sloane is still around.
Yeah.
Because that was her final stand. So, yeah, B-wings will remain in service properly until, I think, like a year or two after that. Then they are, as new ships are rolled off the production line, the B-wing is the priority to take out of service. If that makes sense, that it's the one that they prioritise to not use anymore. Even though the Y-wings probably should have been the ones that they'd have focused on retiring first.
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing I have put on the B-wing is resonance shields, which decrease the shields by 25% but increase laser charge rate.
Yeah, I tried with that. I just didn't notice a difference.
I imagine it's like how fast your lasers charge.
Yeah, the power for them. Yeah, whether their power supply.
When you put all the... Yeah.
So, yeah.
And yeah, I mean, losing 100 shield when you only have 400 is like... Is it really gonna make a difference?
And this is where you find you basically have no shield now.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the thing, really, isn't it? With this thing, it has no shields to begin with. You're relying mostly on your hull to keep you safe. That's why you can't afford to lose hull integrity, which means every single hull upgrade is pointless. Apart from maybe the one which decreases it by 10%, but even then. I mean, just for hostile lock-ons taking longer.
Yeah.
I mean, now that I think about it, that doesn't sound too bad because it means like it takes a lot longer for them to fire rockets at you and you're going to be pretty vulnerable.
Yeah, but it's probably more useful in PvP versus PvE. Because some of the times we've seen how quickly the AI just swoops past us and then just nails homing rockets at us. It's just a case of that is too fast for that to launch. So, yeah. But, yeah, although while while I say the B-wing was retired, it didn't get. It was. I only mean from military service. It found usage as a firefighting ship.
I didn't get kicked out.
5 seconds later. But yeah, because like I say, the B-wings got repurposed into firefighting vessels because they didn't need the gyroscope to serve for firefighting. They just locked them upright and replaced their equipment with water cannons and foam missiles. You remember? I don't know if you remember in Revenge of the was it Revenge of the Sith, where we see those firefighting ships. Yeah, like it got the B-wing was repurposed into that.
This thing turns incredibly slowly.
Told you. Yeah, we've also got.
Well, I got one. I got a kill. I also destroyed the raider.
Yeah, we've also saying.
Pushed into their cruisers. Let's take down their defensive line.
I'm heading over to the light cruisers.
Yep.
I'm getting locked on.
I know. I just launched a smoke and nothing happened.
I launched warheads and then nothing happened with them.
Breaking off!
That's not
Breaking
good.
off!
Mashing buttons, that nothing happened.
Yeah, come on, let my shields regenerate!
I wasn't even able to get close to the Star Destroyer, I was just getting bombarded.
Why are you going for the Star Destroyer?
Not the Star Destroyer, sorry, the normal things.
The cruiser.
Cruisers. Yeah, there's just, all of the enemy pilots were just around D.
I cannot remember what those ones are called. Which is annoying because one of them's in Mandalorian.
What is?
The cruisers. That's what Gideon's working out of.
Light cruiser?
Yeah, but they actually have a proper name. Can't remember what those are called. Because obviously we saw them constantly throughout Rebels.
I mean, I've got a name for them. The Tuning Fork. Why am I getting, like, target?
I don't know. Alright,
I'm getting shot from behind.
I'm resupplied. There, Hi. Bye.
Yeah. I was getting shot at a lot.
Yeah. Whoa.
Picked up a tail.
I went kaboom.
Well, it's
At least I was able to actually reach it though this time.
yeah. I was turning around to open fire on it.
What is the point in charging my shields when they just die pretty much instantly?
Well, they do regenerate quicker when you've got power to shields.
Yeah, but... Oh, we lost the Corvette.
Well, it had been running around for a while, so...
Yeah, it's... Man, the lasers charge extremely slowly on a B-Wing.
Yeah, which is kind of like... You'd think that would be its best feature if they're going to make it slow, not very tanky and whatnot. Like, let the lasers recover quickly.
The Empire has the advantage. Let's change that.
I've almost finished overcharging them though.
The Empire's moving to assault.
Going in at the shield. Oh no, fallback, fallback.
Too late, man!
Positions. The Empire is advancing.
See the raider.
You can just tell the moment in the replay when things change. It was when the Fire Nation attacked.
I always wondered what Filoni made of the disaster that was the live action adaptation. Because he would have been responsible for some of those characters' designs. Or, you know, at least making the designs animated. So...
Who knows?
It is the thing he refuses to speak of.
Yeah. Well, that was easy. Cutting through like butter.
Ironically, I started shooting him the moment you did. Just wait here for when you turn the thing on.
Get destroyed. Ah, crap.
What?
Well.
I do love the inside detailing in here.
Targeting system destroyed.
I always had one, though, difference, at least in my head, for how a B-Wing's cockpit is. I always imagined it's like a twin-stick control system. One stick was the normal movement
Power
for it.
systems just took a massive hit on there.
Yeah.
So,
Incoming missile.
But yeah, okay. One was its normal
Blasted.
thing, and the other would be like almost like a disc you turned, which controlled the gyroscopic system. Jeez, that tie just ripped all my health apart. Between it, yeah, just one TIE fighter just took out all my health in pretty quickly.
Approaching the battlefield.
Star Destroyer shield generators
the
destroyed.
other shields are gone.
Oh, right, they're both gone.
Seems like it.
Yeah, the
I'll leave the power systems underneath.
System is under attack.
nope.
Yep, well, that's fun too.
Chain reaction. Look for weak points in their hull. The Empire took
Well.
out a Corvette.
I couldn't even turn. Turns out, if you're firing both your beam cannon and firing your...
Whoa! Yeah, one TIE fighter just did... Yeah, the same TIE fighter then just started hitting me and I just lost all my health in 2 seconds.
That's not what I was about to talk about.
No, but I'm just saying, like... Yeah, you're saying, like, you're relying on your hull for defense. What defense?
Right.
Feels like the hull is just made of paper.
Well, I mean, it could be worse. We could have even less hull. But like, yeah, it turns out if you're firing the beam, as well as firing your primary, you cannot turn, basically. Like, I tried to turn when I was firing my beam and just shooting, but it just wasn't happening. It just wasn't gonna turn. It was just locked in a direction. Did they slow down the charge up rate of the heavy rotary cannons?
I don't
It
know.
kind of feels pretty slow to start firing with them.
Yeah, finally got a kill.
Alright, this
So,
should be the final assault.
is there anything left intact on that thing?
Nope.
Alright. Now it's still got like a quarter of its health left then.
I do not know.
Well, I just fired a proton torpedo.
I'm taking a lot of damage on my rear.
Well, I've got no forward defences.
I'm gonna blow.
I'm braking.
To be fair, I was basically scraping the Star Destroyer.
Oh, you were closer than me.
Well, I think that might have been what killed me, was just because I was scraping my underside against the...
Yeah, don't forget the B-wing is pretty tall on the underside.
Yep.
What's funny is when you shake a missile, it's just like, how?
Mm-hmm.
How does this thing shake missiles?
Yeah.
Well, the state we can't. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
the station is just a bit of environment surveyor. So
Look how many of us were just in B-wings.
yeah. Although, please, I note that Death only did it right at the end. They'd been a X-wing, I think it was, for most of the game.
Hmm.
So
I got the most number of kills. In a B-wing. I'm glad though that the game didn't break on impact.
I mean, I kind of hope that what was it? Yeah, Motive was the studio that did this bit. Kind of hope they get given an allowance to make, a full game, and and go a bit more in depth with the multiplayer. Because I think they can, like with a bit more tweaks in the customization, a few more modes and whatnot. I think it would make this game, sort of a completely full thing. Obviously expanding the single player element as well. I mean, heck,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, B-wings overall are just,
I mean,
they're alright.
what were we? Yeah, but were we really expecting much with A, the price point, and B, EA?
Yeah.
especially given this came off the back of Battlefront 2. When you think about it, so it is somewhat lifted from its multiplayer, from its limited multiplayer usage of starfighting.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for a, what was it, like 35-40 quid game, it's worth its money for 35-40 quid, especially with the DLC. Well, I say DLC, the free updates.
Yeah.
But, like, yeah, if they want to make a sequel, and you know they're then going to try and sell a sequel for full price, but there is a decent amount of stuff they need to add.
Yeah. I think I'm going to resort back to my bomber class.
I mean, it is a bomber.
You know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm going back with my Y-wing. Just because, yeah, the wing's fine and all, but I mean, the acceleration, the maneuverability, the fact that, you know, it still pretty much does about the same amount of damage that you can deal with a Y-wing.
Ion damage.
Yeah, I mean, the ion damage on the laser cannons is pretty helpful. But I mean, I just go with ion cannons anyway on the Y-wing. And then I bring along things that can then... And then I have the quarry beam, which once I've disabled an enemy fighter, I can just beam them to death.
You're the New Republic. You're not meant to have Death Star weaponry on board. That's an Imperial thing.
I saw the Saber episode from this weekend. Yeah, it's pretty good. Also, although one thing that really was a bit disillusioning was Buster. I don't know what they did. I don't know if this was the case all the time, but when I was watching Buster fight whoever it was, you could see that the sword was made of
Yeah,
iron
it's
because
pretty
it was-
much been like that in every fight. So that's the stunt
I
sword.
know, but it was even more obvious though. Like it was.
I think the
kinda
problem
shocking.
that the sword has is it is, when you look at it, it is a very thin weapon compared to like the other swords for its length.
Yeah.
So they'd have to put like something pretty solid inside it to keep it straight.
Enemies locked onto me.
And that's
Yeah.
probably the thing that holds it back. And that's probably why we notice it much more often.
But like, when the sword like was pressed against the other sword, like you could see it was just bending way out of shape.
Yeah, but like I say, that is the problem. Like, given its design,
Yeah, it was like
it's the problem. Like I say, with its design. Because if you then look at all the other swords, they have those nice thick sections to act as structure. Whereas because that sword's got all those hollow sections and whatnot, that will compromise the structure. Because don't forget, these, like, all the other swords are going to be made of the same, you know, plasticard and foam.
it's just tragic to look at.
I know that it is the unfortunate thing. Like, I mean, if you go back and look at like Shinkenja, and look at like the big sword in there, the actual blade part of it, you could see that warping a lot. Not as bad as obviously in this case because it was one solid piece. But like you could
Yeah, I mean, in
see
this,
that
like,
it would suffer.
This one, like, it warped horrible. It was just so warped.
Yeah, but like I said, the main reason is it is a flaw with its.
That cruiser is almost done for.
It is a flaw with its design, which
It's just,
yeah.
just so bad.
I know, but obviously you can understand why they don't use something solid. Because obviously, yeah, they don't want to be injuring each other ridiculously. Because obviously, if they
But, I mean,
made that
if you're
thing,
using the sword style of, you know, a giant buster sword, your actions are going to be pretty slow anyway. So you're
yeah,
gonna
but then,
easily be able to.
but don't forget, like the big thing with Buster Swords is they come downwards fast and hard.
True.
Because don't forget that the whole thing of a Buster Sword is, yeah, you're using its weight to do the damage. So
Even so, it was pretty tragic. Just watching that bit.
yeah, I mean, but like, no, pay attention to any time he's like lifting himself up using the sword. You can see it warp so badly in those scenes.
Approaching the battlefield.
Much worse than that. Yeah.
Don't mind me, my ship is just on 8 health.
Yeah. But yeah, like, the one thing I was mentioned to you about how they had scenes different to what was in the trailer. The big fight scene where it was, you know, all the riders versus all 3 villains and Caliber. In the trailer, Caliber was not there. And yet it was the exact same fight scene. Also, Saber was not holding Saber was not holding Ichizuki in the trailer as well.
Maybe they used the wrong footage for the trailer.
No, because the fight was in the exact same.
They always do multiple. I mean, they do multiple takes, surely. With, like, different
Yeah, but
sort of,
usually
like,
they.
slightly changed story.
But no, this was a pretty major like alteration piece.
I'm gonna go down.
Okay, one shield generator's lost nearly half its health. Yeah, but yeah, but like I say, when you actually watch that properly, because they wouldn't record necessarily without certain bits. I mean, especially like the whole Saber with it, without Ichizuki. So it's because obviously, bear in mind, the episode before it looked like Caliber was gone for the time being.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it's clear it was because they didn't want to give away that he was back so quickly. Because the trailer had no appearance by Caliber at all. So, and while they had shown in the trailer Buster and Kenzan using Espada's ride books, they hadn't shown that Saber was going to use the last one. They implied Slash was going to use it.
Focus fire on that target. Shields restored.
Yeah, they didn't even use Tricerberus and Needle Hedgehog in the end.
Well, they use it for attacks.
They just gave them all back. They just gave them all to Rentaro.
Yeah, which that bit doesn't make much sense.
Wait, his name's Rintaro, right?
Rintaro.
Yeah. He said he's not human.
Well, you know, but he said he is as well. I don't get with him.
I wonder if he's actually an Imagine. Yeah, because he's got Taro at the end of his name.
Obviously, the major thing everyone wants is characters from Blade to return.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of that should definitely happen. Like, it'd be kind of foolish not to, especially since there's a character now called Kamen Rider Blades and a character called Kamen Rider Blade.
Whoa.
There's a Blade and a Blades now. Kamen Rider Blade. Kamen Rider Blade. No, Kamen Rider Blade. No, Blade. Blade? Blade?
Now imagine standing there with Decade trying to use Final Form Ride.
Blades.
And it just doesn't know which one to affect.
Yeah. Right, we're pushing back.
There we go. Sorry, I just got completely flipped around, so I didn't know where anything was. But yeah, obviously. So yeah, next episode's trailer is interesting because of that whole scene showing Espada's dad as Caliber saving the new Saber as a kid instead of the old one. So is that just because of how time is being rewritten, or like has the entire time it really been Saber that betrayed and framed Caliber for it?
Trapped Caliber then within the sword itself.
Yeah. Well, no, he already confirmed that. Because when they were fighting against him as Caliber, he said he can join his father.
Why do I get the feeling though, like Caliber is still Caliber's now Gento?
No, they did confirm it in that episode.
Well, they didn't really.
No, because he replied properly to Buster about stuff, so which is stuff that because Buster was talking about 15 years before, and Espada wouldn't know that, know the sort of stuff that Buster was asking. And even prior to 15 years, because he talked about when they both first joined.
Unless the thing is that the Caliber sword holds the information of the wielders, and passes it on to whoever wields it next. Because I mean, the one thing that was said, which does kind of make me question, was the line, "Not everything is as what it seems." It's like, you're saying that again. And the only time that he said that before was when, like, Caliber was thought to be Kento's dad. It's like, not everything is as it seems.
I mean, the only other thing is, like, obviously we have the whole Sword of Light that's got to come eventually. Obviously most likely that's going to be final form weapon.
I just get the feeling that Kento might be.
He might get well. Or like I say, the other thing is he is pulled out and becomes the light swordsman instead of taking his previous one.
I don't know. I feel like Kento will at least end up being Caliber. Just imagine, because this upcoming episode is basically going to be the final episode of the story arc, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, we can't. If we go by usual scheduling, the week after there'll be no episode. And yeah, they usually end an arc on the end of the year.
Yeah, and it seems like that's the way it's probably going to go.
And it should also, hopefully, it'll end with a tease of the next swordsman.
It probably will. Which is why I also think it might be kind of fitting if Kento does end up taking on Caliber, because then it makes it much harder for the protagonist, Toma, to actually fight Caliber. It's going to be a challenge, but he's going to push through because...
But the only other thing is, we're at what Caliber's... it seems to be the whole Caliber end goal right now.
Yeah.
So, what next? That's the thing, because the Megiddo just don't seem to care that much about it. Like, for them, Caliber is just a means to an end.
Honestly, the Megiddo have been done so poorly at the moment.
Well, Caliber is the villain. Although, you have to admit, Storius has been probably the main one of the Megiddo, because he's the brain. Because if you note, this is like his first major... This is like really the first time he's been fighting.
Yeah.
Because every other time, he has been the strategist behind them, pulling the strings in different ways. I mean, the closest we got was when we got Blades' triple form. Because he captured Mai.
Yeah.
But apart from that, you know, but then obviously, like, you'd expect the brainy one to be the one that's least in the field. Because they're not going to put themselves at risk unnecessarily. So...
But yeah, you know, what, you can sort of see where I'm coming from, where I think Kento might end up being...
Yeah.
The next. It might actually be Caliber. Almost.
Break off, break off, break off! Well, that was...
I think we'll probably see that female character's rider form.
There's still the question. There's still one thing I've just realised that they've never acknowledged in the show.
What?
Sophia. No one has acknowledged she's MIA.
Yeah. Well, I mean, apart from Buster, sort of. It was like Sophia, because he was like saying Sophia trusted you with, you know.
But overall, they haven't like acknowledged the fact that, like, or at least question, you know, or at least be like, look, we'll finish this bit off first, and then we'll work out where she went, something like that. That's at least still acknowledging that she's not around when she should be. It's like, I mean, that's the one big problem the series has had. It's felt like it's just skipped story beats all the time. There's always just like some element of the story that they've ignored for a few moments, and or they jump ahead, and it's just like, whoa, how did you get to this point? Last we saw, you were doing this instead.
Yeah. honestly, it's like the same with this other show that I've just which I've pretty much just binge watched, like 3 seasons that are available at the moment of. The show itself is like, it's fine, like there's nothing really like, it's got an interesting concept, but I mean it's not like gonna be one of my favorite shows or anything. It's fine as a show, and it's like miraculous, way above Captain Marvel. It's on Disney Plus. I was looking for something.
I thought it was a Nickelodeon one.
No, it's Disney Plus now apparently. And they have access to all the episodes and the film.
Although obviously I could just be thinking of how it's aired over here. Although I remember it also airs on Pop, although Pop not just sometimes gets things as a second broadcasting site. So
yeah, like there was because obviously after a while, after like in the second season you find out that the protagonist, one of the protagonist's fathers, is actually the villain, sort of thing. And like, yeah, you work this out pretty much on the last episode of the first season, but because they find a vault which had this book in it, which sort of tells you about all the miraculous and whatnot. And I'm just there, having rewatched the show, just watching that episode again. And one of the Kwamis, which is like what the little creatures, it flies into the vault and it sees a miraculous that's been lost for ages and doesn't acknowledge it at all. Which I'm a little bit confused about, because they've been searching for their friend, the butterfly miraculous and the peacock miraculous.
but they're basically looking for other ones. They were looking for other ones.
No, they were looking for that specific one, and the cat miraculous, the cat Kwame just does not even notice it.
And it was clear, and it was in plain sight.
It was in plain sight, and they didn't notice that the miraculous was there. It's like, man, that is the biggest plot hole I've seen so far in this show. It's like, he should have known, but it's like, he doesn't. I mean, to be fair, he gets distracted a lot by camembert cheese, but so I mean, maybe he was just distracted and didn't realise, but it was in plain sight. He should have seen it. And that's what, yeah, it's kind of like what you're talking about with all this other stuff, like there's plot lines that sort of...
Well, no, there's plot that they just skip ahead on.
Yeah.
Like I say, there's some things that's just like, whoa, where did this come from? And you're acting like it's been here all these episodes.
Yeah. I mean,
and then there's the whole, like I say, thing with Sophia, which is, you guys are not acknowledging that your boss is MIA.
Yeah, that's more what I was sort of linking that whole story to, because it's like.
Yeah, that's fine, Savai. You take care.
It's just yeah. I still don't know how he managed to just completely gloss over the fact that the freaking Peacock Miraculous was in that vault. He was more interested in the books.
I mean, was there a particular book he was looking for?
No, he wasn't. He just wanted to break into the vault, see what was inside.
Because, like, if it was after a particular book, that might have been why, because the eyes just skimmed past, and, you know, it's like, books. You know, one of those things where you don't register something in sight.
Yeah.
Because you've tunnel visioned for a particular thing.
Now that I think about it, though, I mean, the cat Kwame, like, he didn't even realize what the book was. Like, it's very important to the actual
Plot.
sort of. It's not important to the plot. It's like, it's basically a book about what each of the miraculous do and some of the past people of the past, like illustrations of the past, of past people wielding these powers, as well as recipes to make the farming stronger.
Power generator's
like
gone. Not power generator, sorry, shield generator.
He didn't recognize it, but the Ladybug Miraculous didn't recognize it. Did recognize the book when she ended up seeing it. So it's like, maybe because the cat the cat Kwame just did not know it. Is just oblivious to everything.
Cat's blind. Well, it's a cat. Don't forget, cats are cats.
I mean, yeah, the only thing he cares about really is cheese and his owner.
But yeah, it's a cat. Cats are just like, hi, I want attention. So.
I mean, yeah, the show as a whole, it's got an interesting concept. It's well, I've not seen a show which has a what would you call a love square with just two people. Like, you know a love triangle.
Yeah.
We broke that. It's like one person loves one person, another person loves the other person, and the other person loves. Yeah, it's kind of this. In this, the protagonists are called Marinette and Adrian, whilst their hero names are Ladybug and Cat Noir. Right?
I am not turning around out of this because
Cat Noir loves Ladybug, right? But Ladybug doesn't love Cat Noir. However, Marinette has a crush on Adrian.
Oh jeez.
You know, so it's like they love.
And how many seasons did they keep this up?
3. And there's
Okay, that's actually quite a while.
Yeah, it's because they can't reveal their identities. That's the thing, because these two miraculous have a special sort of connection. Because one of them gives the power of creation, the other one gives the power of destruction. And together, if someone was to have both, then they'd be able to basically grant themselves any wish. But obviously, granting a wish will cause, you know, every action has an equal opposite reaction.
Newton's third law.
So yeah, so it's like they need to basically stay anonymous, even with each other, so that then if one turns bad somehow, they don't know the identity of the other ones to take it. It also protects their families and whatnot, so they
you actually, like, I've seen really good arguments that keeping superhero identities from your families is actually the worst idea.
Yeah. But in this instance, I think it makes a lot of sense.
Because
They did do, though, one of the last episodes of the 3rd season was an episode where Adrian, aka Cat Noir, accidentally figured out who Ladybug was, and they had sort of like this, like an alternate timeline sort of story, where Adrian then, you know, told Marinette, you know, his feelings, and, you know, they became, you know, sort of a, you know, girlfriend-boyfriend sort of thing.
yeah.
But they had to undo it because of all the damage it caused.
Yeah, and then after and you're saying like after season 3 they've just gone, screw it. And then what changed for them in season 3?
No, that was near the end of 3.
Oh.
That alternate timeline sort of thing.
Oh, so everything's back to as it was.
Yeah, although by the end of 3, Marinette has sort of got a boyfriend. Well, not really a boyfriend, just sort of a love interest, but it's not really a thing. And Adrian's, it's the same thing with Adrian as well. He's sort of got someone else now as well. So it's like they've sort of moved apart from each other in terms of like, you know, romantic sense, but they're still good friends. So it's like, yeah, they're not really worrying about, you know, loving the other one at this point. They've got someone else in their lives right now. The creators did say that eventually, you know, they will be together, so it's a matter of time with them. I don't know, it's an interesting show. One that, though there are problems with it. Like, for example, well, like, the villain himself, called Hawkmoth, he preys on people's like negative emotions, and then turns them into sort of superpowered slaves to him, essentially.
Hold on, where have I heard this plot before?
Yeah.
Like half a dozen animes.
Pretty much, yeah. They prey on the negative emotions and then give them superpowers to get revenge, essentially. But they also can't be controlled. They can't control like themselves, essentially, afterwards. So it's like, yeah. So the thing is, though, a lot of the times in the episodes, the villains are made because of just one character in the school that the protagonists go to, just being an absolute prick. And she just ends up being just such a prick to someone that, you know, they just end up getting so angry that it just lets Hawkmoth take control of them.
I admit I've been doing a bit of a rewatch of Power Rangers from the beginning. And that's basically what Rita and Zed do for a lot of their monsters. It's spy on the Rangers and they're like, they like this thing, how about I ruin it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's that, yeah, I mean, I've heard of bits of the series. It definitely sounds like it's playing on some pretty big Japanese, like, anime tropes in particular.
I mean, it's a French show, so...
Yeah, I know. I mean, yeah, because I know the studio's done, like, a couple of other things, and I can't remember what.
Like there'll be one episode where this character, her name's Chloe, and like nobody likes her really, and like there's one episode where she rejects someone's love proposal to her and just takes a picture of them sort of, you know, doing the whole, you know, will you be my Valentine sort of thing, and then just sending it to everyone. Then there's another time when, you know, she just says to, just basically, like, stops someone from being in the school photograph by locking them in the toilets. And this person really wanted to be in the photo because for a long time she's not been able to have photos taken of her because of just everything always going badly. And there was like, this time was going to be different, but then, yeah, it just didn't turn out that way. And then, like, yeah, just, she's always just a really mean to everyone around her, essentially. And that's what causes a lot of monsters of the week.
Okay, and this is what was making me wonder, because I was certain I was familiar with something. It's because the studio is a successor to an older studio which no longer exists.
Alright.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking. It's like, I'm certain I knew something about the studio because I'd looked it up before. And yeah, it's because, yeah,
Do they make Code Lyoko?
Huh?
Do they make Code Lyoko?
No.
Wouldn't surprise me if they did, to be honest.
Yeah, no, because it's done by Zagtoon and
Attack formation.
Method Animation. Zagtoon is a successor of SIP Animation. Method is very new. Like, they've only been around for a couple of years. So this was like one of their first things. But yeah.
I mean, it's a very good first thing. I mean, it's won tons of awards in France.
Whereas, obviously, Zagtoon's done a bit more, but this is their first international. But like when it was like the founder was SIP and the founding staff for SIP Animation, they did the old Sabrina the Teenage Witch cartoons, a lot of it, animated sequences for various Saban products which they had acquired. So like they did the reanimating for Digimon, for obviously the dubbing. And yeah, like several other, there's a few other animes as well that they just did the editing for retimings and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then in their later years, they were doing a lot of, they did a few production, either assisted or, most of it was co-productions for Jetix. Before shutting down in 2009, and the successor company was set up in 2010. So, but then that was when Disney kind of scrapped Jetix for Disney XD. So,
yeah.
But yeah.
So they've had some stuff going on then.
I mean, I guess like the biggest thing they did
ass.
when they were doing the co-productions for Jetix, they were the animation studio for Witch. Like that's their biggest. Their biggest one when they were doing the co-work for Jetix. So, but like I say, most of their stuff prior to. Most of their stuff was, the Sabrina animation series, and then a lot of anime adjustments, which that's fine.
Yeah. So I mean, there are other instances of when other people are the ones causing people to.
But hey, you know what that also means is the animation team are familiar with a female-led superpower show.
Yeah, I mean that's also a thing. Also, the thing as well, like a lot of.
Although obviously there is the difference. I'll just say is the previous one was a loose comic adaptation. So.
Oh yeah, that's actually another thing as well. Like a lot of things that try and do sort of, superhero shows with sort of like a female lead, they tend to, or even films as well. They always make it try to make them seem powerful. Just they basically tell people they're powerful, not show them why they're powerful. Not show them why they are a good character, and just tell you they are a good character. Whereas this character in this, she has a lot of flaws, but she actually, she shows that she can be strong even with all of her flaws. Like she's a klutz. Like she's, she.
Yeah, I mean,
over everything.
It's the one thing that I always feel that the Gundam franchise really doesn't do well is the female characters most of the time. Because, very few series have a female pilot of a Gundam. In fact, even very rarely a properly named female pilot outright. And when they do, and most of the time when we've had female pilots piloting a Gundam, it's usually a pass-it-down. So the lead pilot has, moved on to a better, more powerful unit.
Yeah.
Which, again, which is kind of sad in a way because, because most of the time, the female cast are usually just on the bridge of the ships, or other supporting roles.
Yeah.
So
I'll say another thing that I'm not really too keen on about this show, Captain Marley, but that a lot of the monsters of the weeks are a little bit cringy in terms of what they actually are. Like, one of them, he's someone who loves pigeons, and, you know, he feeds them a lot, and, you know, police officer told him to get out because, you know, you're not allowed to feed the pigeons. He gets angry, and he becomes Pigeon Man, where he can control all the pigeons in Paris.
I mean, that's like a pre-cure monster of the week.
Yeah.
Because, oh boy, some of those monsters that you just like, what the fudge? How is that a threat to a team of, you know, usually like 4 or 5 girls?
Yeah. And then there's another one where it's actually one of the schoolmates wanting to throw Adrian a birthday party, but his father won't let him because his father's so protective of Adrian, and, you know, he's very rude to the character as well.
Yeah.
And he ends up getting, you know, turned, and he turns into a character called the Bubbler.
Like, that's just... What?
He looks absolutely ridiculous, and he can blow massive bubbles, which can basically send people up into the sky, and they can't get out of the bubbles. And he does it on all of the adults, essentially.
I mean, that one actually does sound quite powerful.
I mean, it's powerful, yes, but, I mean, the look of him, I mean, to put it bluntly, he looked like a used, you know, it begins with a C.
Yeah, I realised.
Except it was red and yellow and blue. That's what it looked like. But then there are other times where you got kind of coolish sort of character-like villains. Like, you have one time where the chief of police gets fired by the mayor of Paris. And for not... Yeah, but it's all set in Paris.
No, I'm just thinking, like, does Paris actually have a mayor?
Yeah, the mayor of Paris fired the police officer for not doing what he told him to do because it was sort of against the law what he was asking him of.
Well, then the freaking chief of police could have arrested him.
Well, it's like...
Oh yeah, hold on, wait, yeah, but this is a kids. This is where kids are the only competent people around. Like, again, usual trope of these sorts of shows where the kids are the heroes. It's adults are useless.
Pretty much. Well, actually, no. The police are actually more competent than you'd think. Like, they do actually do something. But in this instance, yeah, he was fired because he didn't look in a schoolgirl's bag for something that was claimed to have been stolen.
Yeah.
Because he said, well, that's against the law, I can't just go rummaging through someone's bag because someone is accusing someone of stealing something.
Yeah.
And, yeah, he turns into essentially RoboCop.
I mean, there's cooler things. Well, sorry, there's not much cooler things than RoboCop.
Yeah, and although his powers, like, it fires like a laser at people, and it basically puts cuffs around their hands, and basically whatever he tells them to do, they'll do it.
Yeah, that's pretty OP.
Yeah. And then Kim, who was the one who, you know, confessed his love to the mean person, he ended up turning into Dark Cupid, which basically turned all someone's positive feelings about someone into negative feelings, which was actually used in a clever way in a later.
I mean,
episode.
that's been done like a million times.
I mean, yeah, that's been done many times, but because the evil guy preys on negative emotions, he actually used that ability to make other people feel angry so that he could also turn them as well.
See, that's your endgame, like, scenario.
I mean, yeah, that was like his end game of season 2, I think. Just constantly turning all the characters that had already been turned before.
Oh, okay, that's also then laziness on the production team.
I mean, yeah, that's also lazy, but I mean, hey, they probably don't have a big budget.
I'm so lost right now. No, there we go.
But yeah, yeah, there is later on the character that is the one who pretty much always ends up, not on purpose, being the ones who cause all these people to become evil. She doesn't always end up. She stops basically ending up being the one who does that. Eventually.
Because it happened to her?
Well, yeah, it happened to her. Twice, I think. Although maybe...
Do they then do the usual thing of, oh yeah, now I'm going to be an ally?
Yeah. Although, she's still a prick when she's an ally. And
she's the more into the anti-hero position.
Yeah, I mean, she ended up also, and because like she constantly wasn't being brought on for missions or anything, she got really annoyed, and she ended up being basically the final villain of season 3. Because she was just so angry with just not being used at all, or called upon. I mean, she's a spoiled brat. I mean, what can you really expect from a spoiled brat character?
Yeah.
Though there, I mean, there are a lot of times when even the protagonist's fault where people actually are turning. And then you have really ridiculous reasons for why there's a monster.
Have they done the villain was drunk yet? Have they done a monster created because someone was drunk?
From what?
Have they done a monster created because the villain was drunk?
No. But there was a time when basically Hawkmoth was sending off a butterfly to, I think it was the bodyguard of Adrian, because he was so annoyed. But then his feelings changed as it was flying towards him, and so the butterfly ended up finding the next, negative emotional person around, and it was a baby, because they didn't have a lollipop.
Oh, jeez.
It's like, I mean, even Hawkmoth is just like, oh god. I'm gonna have to work with this, aren't I? Crap. That's essentially how he was acting. It's like, oh god, what have I done?
Yeah, I don't think anything's ever going to top what happened in Kira Major, though. Because, again, drunk main character who basically caused all the problems of the episode.
Yeah, but no, there hasn't been a drunk character.
I mean, granted, again, you say French, so therefore it probably isn't allowed. That episode of Kira Major, I was just laughing a lot. Even one of the villains was just like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah.
Like, you know it's serious when the villains are just like, what? Although they also discovered ice lollies. And then they assault a ice cream man wanting more ice lollies.
Oh god.
They then go back to their base, and like one of them that creates all the monsters is is working out where a monster had disappeared to until it showed up. And then just the other general is then just standing next to them, licking an ice lolly, and he just looks over because he's like, "Yeah, that's what happened. But where did you get that?" And all she was then like in return was, "Shut up," and then just goes back to licking the ice lolly.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Probably more often than not, the villains are kind of not like the villain of the week is not that great.
But then it's a villain of the week. You never expect that much out of them.
Yeah, I mean,
like it's when you get like villains who are going to be like a major part.
I mean, yeah, there are definitely some more interesting ones, like the future love interest of the protagonist is angry because a record producer basically stole his music and gave it to someone else to use, and he basically was turned into someone who could steal someone's voices, and yeah, I'm not sure really what he was going to be able to do with that. It's just he was able to steal the voices of people.
I mean,
and then basically force people to basically tell sort of lies about, well, not lies about people, but sort of try and say things to the public about, you know, in the voice of that person pretending to be them.
yeah. Oh yeah, that's not been ever done before.
Yeah.
No, I will say props though, because voice stealing is usually, you know, given to like female monsters, so.
Yeah.
So like props to them, like, you know, doing some gender inversions on stereotyping of monster abilities and whatnot.
There are. I mean, yeah, and then there's also a character who lies a lot, and she is probably more annoying than this Chloe character that I mentioned. Because one thing that annoys me more than annoying characters are characters who lie all the damn time. And she was lying so much that it forced the protagonist to basically just change into Ladybug and basically just debunk her entire lies in front of pretty much everyone. And she was just so angry at that. She turned into basically the hero that she was claiming to be. And this character, even after being beaten, still wants revenge against Ladybug. So she ends up sort of almost teaming up with the villain at times to actually get people into situations where they are so angry that the villain can actually turn them.
Oh jeez.
Because she lies so much, and she even like managed to get the protagonist expelled from school. Like, it's like characters like that.
That's fixed by the end of the episode, I assume.
Well, yes, because Adrian basically told her, okay, if you still want to be friends with me, you're going to have to make up another lie to get her back into school. Simple as that.
Anyway,
because this character has a crush on Adrian. I mean, he's a model. All the girls have a crush on him. But yeah, he basically told her, look, you're good at telling lies, and I don't appreciate what you did to my friend. So basically tell another lie to get her back in, or I won't be friends with you at all, ever.
Anyway, I'm good. Anyway, that's it for today. So, yeah, Xenoblade tomorrow. So just follow Twitch, subscribe YouTube, and I am completely just. I just need bed. Night.